Welcome to Science Lab with Mrs. Keener. Hi everyone. In the last Science Lab, we showed how things that are at rest tend to stay at rest, unless they're acted on by some outside forces. Today, we're going to use some outside forces and we're going to take some things at rest and we're going to set them in motion. We're going to build a cannon out of cardboard and you can use it to launch things. For today's Science Lab, you're going to need cardboard in a tube shape, or you're going to need to make a cardboard tube shape. So you can use the cardboard tube from inside a roll of paper towels, or you can use some thin cardboard like from a box of cereal. If you're using a cardboard tube from a roll of paper towels, you need to cut it in half. It's okay if they're not exactly the same size. If you don't have the cardboard tube and you're making one, take a cereal box, cut it open. You're going to need the two large pieces. Cut away all the small flaps and then roll it up in a cylinder shape. It's a lot easier if you roll it up around something that's already a cylinder shape. So if you have something that's a cylinder shape, like a can of tomato paste, something that would be about the same size as the paper towel tube, that's a helpful thing to help roll up your tube. Tape it closed, and now you have a cardboard tube that's the right size. Do the exact same thing with the other large piece of cardboard. Roll it up into a tube shape. Now take your two tubes and you're ready to build your cannon. I tried it both ways. I used the paper towel tube and I used the cereal box. My paper towel tube was made of thinner cardboard and it didn't work as well. Cut one of the tubes lengthwise so that you can make it a little bit smaller by squishing one flap under the other. We want the smaller tube to fit inside the other tube. So make it a little bit smaller and then tape it closed in its new smaller size. Check and make sure it fits inside the other tube. So what we're doing is we're shrinking the diameter just a little bit, just enough so that it fits inside the other tube. Tape it closed. We need to put some holes inside the smaller tube. You can use a hole puncher or a sharp pencil. Put a hole in one edge and put a hole in the opposite edge. Oh, my tape is coming off. I'm going to have to retape it. When you put your tape on, it helps if you press your tape on firmly, and it helps if you put it at the edges. That'll help it stay together better. Checking to make sure it's still the right size. Okay, we have our two holes, and then we're going to put a pencil through those two holes. If they're exactly opposite each other, the pencil will go right through to the other side. If it's a little bit off center, that's okay. Just needs to be mostly centered. Now it's time to work on our other piece. We're going to cut a little slit on one edge and another slit about an inch away so that we have a flap. And do the same thing on the other side. Put the rubber bands through the slits so that they're opposite each other like this. Put the skinnier part inside and pull back the rubber bands so that they go across the pencil. This is when I noticed that my cardboard was starting to crumple because it's kind of thin, flimsy cardboard. So I switched to my other cardboard tubes, which are made of stronger cardboard. So you have two cardboard tubes. We need to make one of them a little bit smaller. So loosen up the tape and squish it a little bit so that you're making the diameter a little bit smaller, and tape it closed again. We want it to be small enough so that it fits inside the other tube. Tape it closed, tape it along the edges to hold it closed really well. Press down on the tape so that it sticks really well. We need to add 2 holes. You can use a hole puncher or a sharp pencil. 1 hole near one edge, and then another hole opposite that one. Then put a pencil through those 2 holes. Now it's time to work on our other piece. We need a scissors, and we need to cut a little slit in one edge and another slit about 1 inch away, so we have a flap. Do the same thing on the other side. Now put a rubber band across each little tab that you made. I prefer skinny rubber bands. It worked better for me. If you don't have rubber bands, you can use hair elastics. Now it's time to put it all together and test it out. The skinnier part goes inside, and you pull back the rubber bands and loop them over the pencil ends. Now, when you pull back on the pencil, you stretch out the rubber bands, and when you let go, they'll snap back and the inside part will push forward. So now you can load up your cannon and launch something. Take a piece of paper, crumple it up until it's just the right size for your cannon, load it inside, and launch it. If you want your ball to go farther, you're going to have to pull more. The more you pull, the more force you're applying. The more force you use, the farther you can get your ball to go. And this shows how you can use forces to put things in motion. Take pictures or video and share them with me in Flipgrid.